People should be joining and stuff. Boom. Yeah, it doesn't really matter which day we do these on because I'm streaming every day. So,
Right.
all right, Instagram is now live. Yeah, there we go. Cool. So, obviously, welcome in everybody. This is Anthony Parra. I'm not Anthony Parra. Anthony, why don't you tell them what you do?
Yeah, my name's Anthony Parra. I'm the Ascend community admin for both the Digital Syndicate and the Affiliates and Content Clipping free community. So basically what I do is make sure operations run smooth on the back end so you guys have a good experience making money, joining the affiliate program. I run the affiliate program as well, which is sort of on the side of WAP, although WAP's where you get paid for bringing us leads, but that's my role.
Awesome. Yeah. And again, this is the Ascended podcast. Huge focus on AI and technology, probably the biggest thing to pay attention to in the future here, as well as business, economics, talking about the way the world's moving. It's all important information. And with all the mis and disinformation out there, it's important you get news from, open dialogue, not just being fed a headline. And that's kind of what we're here to accomplish. So, yeah, this should be a fun one. Without further ado, I'm just going to get straight into it. I'm going to get you guys with my little intro I wrote. So, modern men are living in a paradox, a society that questions or ignores traditional masculinity, and a digital economy exploding with opportunity. Imagine being 25 with no clear role model for manhood, yet seeing guys online monetizing AI side hustles overnight, the 19-year-old driving the Lamborghini. We've all seen it. This episode, I want to open with that tension and then how to flip that into fuel, answering the questions you guys are always being asked subconsciously when you see these things. In 2025, there's a vacuum around what it means to be a man. Mainstream culture often highlights that toxic masculinity, but rarely offers a positive vision for young men. So the result is many 18 to 13-year-olds feel unmoored, essentially. By the numbers, men are falling behind in traditional paths. Only 43% of college students are male by 2025, so it's not 50-50. And men 25 to 34 are more likely than women to live with parents. Tangible signs of our generation drifting away from what it used to be. The shift here is recognizing the void and deciding to actively define your own code of masculinity instead of letting society's confusion define you. So with that said, guys, that's the synopsis of what we're going to be talking about today. There's going to be different topics around it, but I guess we'll start just by having a conversation here, Anthony.
Works for me.
What messages do you think young men get today around masculinity? What do you think are some of the, buzz terms you hear going out there?
Buzz terms. I think we're on the tail end of this one, at least from my feed, what I see. But toxic masculinity is popular. I think there's a huge push for traditional masculinity, at least in some niches of the internet, where men are. I guess they exist simultaneously. There's the ones you bring up, like the 19-year-olds driving a Lambo because of some side hustle that they were successful in, and then simultaneously there's the section telling men that being a man in the traditional sense is toxic for society and that it's causing more problems than good. But then there's also still a subgroup of men that are trying to maintain traditional masculine values of providing and protecting for a family, maybe a significant other. So I think overall it's just a lot of mixed signals, and I think that's the last sentence you said in your intro it hit it spot on in my opinion, where it's nothing but confusion coming for young men in society. Like, I don't know that we could pinpoint one exact sub niche of the internet as the problem, but it's more of a congregation of all of them that's the problem, where men are faced with so many societal ideologies of what being a man is supposed to look like. But I think it completely depends. I think there's some characteristics that should probably carry out no matter what as a man, just biologically, by what purpose we serve in this earth. But then with that, I think it kind of depends on what you aim to achieve and what you enjoy and what brings you peace and contentment.
I like that answer. I think at the end of the day, we don't know anything for certain. I just put a newsletter out about this, kind of challenging this topic. Like, imagine a world where nothing was known. Like, obviously, religion as a whole, right? It's only just a belief. Imagine nothing was like true. We didn't know anything. the only then value we know for sure is something that we decide to live by, the choices we make to define ourselves. So if nothing really mattered, the only thing that does matter is what you decide to make of it. And like Anthony said, it's important that you have that inner dialogue, because too many times you hear this one thing, right? You'll see, Andrew Tate's message, right? And some blurb of it that just says like, tell a woman to go in the kitchen, but you don't hear the full context of him saying, yeah, I'm going to take care of you and make sure your needs are met. And then if you want to go in the kitchen, right, that's something you want to do. I'm not saying, that's your role, right? And so you'll hear this like twisted version because of a TikTok you saw, and you think that that's masculinity. And too many times that I think that's what's defining our generation, that and the lack of father figures. Honestly, a lot of relationships and marriages fall apart, and it's kind of like kids have to piece together that, and it's not their fault. It's just the way society is becoming. I think there's a lot of double standards around men in particular. Women don't necessarily have the same ones. Like, you're told to do the things, right? You're told to back down, right? Like, don't tell, a woman that her position isn't, she shouldn't work side by side with you. We should encourage equality. But then again, you see the classic example, right? Of like, why are you splitting the bill? You should be footing that by yourself. You should be taking charge. You should be owning all of that. So there's a lot of questions that kind of remain unanswered. In what cases are men supposed to lead? In what cases are they not? And I think that it's not really a man's fault if they get confused in that. It's just the reality of it. So if the mainstream media, this is my other question, if mainstream media only tells you what not to be as a man, how do you figure out what to be? What is the source you trust?
Man, social media would not be it. And I think, unfortunately, that's the only interaction with a source telling them what to be that most, maybe I wouldn't say most, but that a lot of young males get in our society today. I think a better option would be if you have a father that that you feel like is somebody you would like to model when you grow older. And if you don't, find somebody. It's a concept of mentorship. Like, if you're a business owner, you find somebody that's in the field and you say, man, like, how do I become like you? And it's going to be a lot of conversation. It's not exactly that that brash or that upfront, but it's like anything else, that when the people that are the greatest at what they've ever done didn't just come upon it by themselves. Like, and if they did, it took a lot of struggle, but there's no reason to struggle when there's a lot of people that are either like-minded or that are willing to share their experience with you, when all it would take is for you to do some outreach, man. I think that a better solution would not be to try and decipher what's true and what's not from the media, but more to find somebody that's doing or exemplifying what resonates with you, what morals resonate with you based on their character, and how you want to act in accordance with your own moral compass. Find somebody that embodies that and study, like, figure out what it is. Who's that guy that makes the study meme? That's what I just thought of. But
Yeah.
I studied, but no.
Luke
Real talk
Omar,
though.
I think, right?
Yeah, real talk though. Just like, pay attention to what it is they do when they're away from the situation in which you're admiring. Like, because it doesn't just happen. Like, good works don't just happen by themselves. It's a lot of daily disciplines and habits, and there's things you could pick up on, I think, from just finding a mentor.
I want to go back because, like, in some ways too, you can't always rely on having somebody in your life. It's just, there's some situations, maybe you're just unfortunate, right? Like, maybe you just never grew up with a father. Maybe they passed away. It wasn't your fault. There's could be a million things, right? Especially when you're a child, you don't have control over what your parents' lives look like. And so you can find someone, but more importantly, I think is what your first point was you need some sort of code of honor or like daily discipline that you invent for yourself. Because at the end of the day, this is the thing we take with us, is that honor, right? And what you decide gives you value in the world. And it's about being calm and intentional, because with all the chaos out there, with all the messages being shouted at you, some of which are like there to purposely, I would say, mislead you, and tell you to kind of silence yourself in a world where we need stronger leaders than ever. It's very important that you have the ability to be rational and to dial it back in and say, well, is this advice I'm getting truly good for me, or is it here to limit my ability to have an impact? Because too many times I see men, trying to like go along with the flow really of like, I don't want to oppress anybody. I don't want to stand up for something I believe in. And that becomes seen as like controlling, or it's seen as like aggressive masculinity, when too many times like we need stronger leaders. And again, take the opportunity to lead, and do it from a position where you want to make a positive change in the world. And you can't really go wrong if you have your own protocol and you're grounded in that. You're not going to be easily swayed by societal dysfunction. And I'll just say that, like Anthony echoed, there's a lot of chaos out there. There's a lot of contradicting beliefs, and so you need now more than ever to find something, that a mindset that you can believe in, and especially somebody who enacts that every day. So maybe it's Anthony for a lot of you. Maybe Anthony's the guy. He's the role model.
Highly
He's
doubt.
my role model. So
Highly doubt. Yeah. Well, that's what I guess that's why we work together, man. Because that's what you are for me.
that means a lot, man. I Let's talk about identity, because identity is important to this. It's kind of the central role, right? I can't know what I'm fighting for if I don't know who I am. Because again, let's say the world's evil, right? Well, if I'm also evil, then I'm going to support evil things in the world. If I decide I'm inherently good, I'm going to challenge what I deem as evil in the world. And that definition, right? It doesn't even have to be good and evil. It could be, this is help this, like, I'm a utilitarian, let's say, and I want to help more people than less. And if this thing is not utilitarian, right? If it's following a different principle, well, I'm not going to believe in that, because that's not my identity. And so figuring out where your gravity is centered helps you make those decisions. And it's kind of like your litmus test for information you're fed. Identity isn't handed to you. You have to craft it. And in a world where traditional signposts for manhood, career paths, institutions, even family roles now are in flux, the modern man's identity is kind of a do-it-yourself project. And it's probably the reason why so many men are depressed, suicidal. We feel like we're off track. But there's good news, though. The internet and digital communities do give unprecedented access to knowledge, mentors, examples. A lot of this happens in our community, and just people inspiring each other to make money. Many young men are transforming themselves through deliberate action. Anthony, obviously hitting the gym, learning any skill online, entrepreneurship. So you move from feeling like a victim of narratives to the author of your story by taking action. And you have to embrace that your identity is your own design. How do you think, okay, let's take someone in their 20s. Let's put it into an example. How could someone intentionally craft their identity? Do you think it's by, pick one of these three things? I'll give you skills, values, or their mission. If you had to pick one to develop first, which one do you think will be most impactful to figuring out who you are? Your skills, your values, or your mission? Because I think they're all important, but
Yeah, I'd say they're all important. I think they go hand in hand, but I think it would be a toss-up between mission and values for me. I'm trying to think of this chronologically. Immediately, I think skills would probably be something that, like, you can have a skill, but what good is it if you have no end to use a skill to achieve? You know what I mean? So I think skills probably comes second or third. Well, third, because I think one of these two would be one and two. But I don't know. I would say my initial reaction would be, I don't know. I said values first, but I could see the argument for either, because mission guides exactly what you do, what you value, and what skills you need to learn to achieve the mission. Values could also guide what you deem the most important thing for you to achieve in your life, which would be your mission, and then you use the skills to get there. So I could see an argument for either, but I'll go with the gut reaction and say values.
I mean, again, the point is, it's not a trick question. There's no right or wrong answer. It's, if you're building any of those, you're going to see your life move in a positive trajectory. And I think, honestly, the easiest one, right, is how it works for most people that I see. Again, a guy that I'm coaching right now, is you kind of figure out what you're good at. So you actually start with skills, because that's the easiest thing, right? It's the least, I would say, transformative in your identity. It's just something that you know how to do. It's not like changing the purpose you have in life. And you're dialing in on those skills. And then naturally, you'll start to realize what you like doing. And therefore, you stick with those things and you find purpose behind it. And that kind of is a roadmap to develop that. So if you have nothing, right, start with the easiest thing and then kind of let the rest develop over time. And if you're doing that in a community of people, right, you could be building anything. You could be a Boy Scout carving bars of soap with other inspired men, or you could be somebody building a six-figure company. And either way, if you're doing something productive, you're gonna be in a space where you're meeting other people that have values that you might want. Otherwise, if you're working at McDonald's, it's a great job, right? It's hard work and it at least pays bills, but those people probably aren't sharing values that you would want to live up to necessarily, as much as somebody that's building those types of productive businesses. I would challenge that any day. To put yourself in an environment with those people. Do hard things like mastering a skill, right, or enduring physical training still build character in the digital era? And how do you think that compares to before? What do you think that importance is to like the 70s before the internet?
I 100% would agree, or confirm that I think it does still build character even in the digital era, where I think the difference lies in like the served purpose of doing those kind of things. I think if to stay in the same time era you mentioned, the 70s, there probably was. I mean, I wasn't alive in the 70s, but from what I understand about history, um, you know, enduring some of those harder things, physical training, learning and mastering a physical skill, like a trade per se, um, not only made you, I mean, the thing you did was in and of itself good, in my opinion, because you need to challenge yourself to grow. But it also was a way to stay alive. Like if you knew a trade and that was what you did and you were a master of your skill, people would pay you more. Um, and that's how you made your money. And I think there's a lot of jobs that existed back then or roles that existed back then, um, that might not have been considered the trade we think of today, like electrical, plumbing, HVAC. But it was the same idea. Like you have to be doing something physically, you have to be good at it. Maybe you're just a factory worker and you put some two things together and you're a master at it and you do it better than anybody else. They pay you more. That's your livelihood. I think the difference lies in today, you don't necessarily have to be good at a physical thing to make money or to be successful or even to survive. And that's why we see problems with obesity today, too, because you don't have to be fit like you used to survive. I mean, and when I say used to, we're talking, centuries ago, probably when you were hunting for food still. But I don't think it's necessarily about anymore finding a way to support your livelihood. But if all you did was hone in on, and you sat in front of your computer and you did something in the digital world, um, that wasn't necessarily as challenging, right? I guess I shouldn't even say that because I think like maybe it's not a physical job you're doing, but you probably still could become. I mean, people in our community do all the time. You've become a master of your skills on the digital realm, and it's become your livelihood in the same manner. But it's more like for your physical health and for your mental well-being, you should still endure challenges beyond what exists in this world. That like it's funny to me, like what exists on my computer screen is like it's like nothing in the actual grand scheme of the world. It's just on my computer screen. So I think that because that's just not how we're meant to live, to like stay in this digital realm the entire time. So I think you should be able to find solace in challenging yourself other ways. I probably took a lot of tangents there, but
That was the most ADHD answer.
I started thinking of like I started thinking of like the other things
Okay.
when I was talking. But
It did. If you guys were paying attention, that did make a lot of sense, though.
the
It's
viewers will understand. They will
and
understand. They're gonna correct me.
TLDR is just a different world. Where it's hard to compare because we don't know the meaning of having these skills. Skills are still skills. Like whether you still need to, you're still a human organism, and your cells are gonna die off if you treat your body like shit. You're gonna die faster. Like you still need to take care of your body. But does that mean you have to become a woodworker instead of a digital freelancer? Probably doesn't matter as long as you're still, staying in shape and stuff. But yeah, I think building character again was the question, and you need something that you can dedicate yourself to. And to me, I don't think the activity matters. I think it's great if it challenges you to be physically hard in some ways. But if you're already doing that, then it doesn't matter what you do. If you build value, you still got to do that, make more money, and find something you're passionate about, because otherwise you're going to quit way too soon. I've wanted to quit doing this way too many times, but I haven't, and here we are.
Yeah, I want to quit every time I give a response that makes no sense.
Well, maybe let's see how the next one goes. Let's talk about our next segment. So we are in a moment that is very similar to, was it 1849, the gold rush essentially, but it's not gold we're chasing digital gold. We're chasing developments, we're chasing a world moving faster than ever, and anybody can get rich with one thing, which is AI. It's time for an explosive opportunity, especially for those who are actually taking the time to treat it seriously. Too many times it's just like, oh, this video is AI, that's funny. Okay, well, that same video could be making you money if you knew how to position that in the right way. And it didn't. Again, the leverage it creates is insane. Tactically, it means monetization avenues that didn't even exist a few years ago are wide open. Just imagine, right? The 65-year-old who has a $3 million annual revenue business that could easily afford to pay, 20 grand a month for to have all their marketing handled. And an AI can probably do most of that for you now, but they don't know it exists. And so they'd be paying a whole team of 20 people 30 grand a month or whatever. I don't know, like probably 5 to 10 people 30 grand a month, when you could do it all by yourself and you could charge 2/3 of that and make 20 grand a month. And like it's insane, because a lot of these boomers, right, especially these older business owners that aren't paying attention to this technology, well, can still have their mind blown if you guys are the ones that are paying attention. That's the quickest way to add value, just having information other people don't. One person with a good idea and AI can do what it used to take a whole team to do. Researchers estimate AI could add just with a T, trillion dollars in productivity growth to the economy. And already around 4.7 million independent workers, independent freelancers in the US are earning over $100,000 on their own terms. So over 1% of the country is earning $100,000 a year using AI working for themselves. That's the new 1%, because if that industry is growing faster than ever, those people will be part of the new 1%. They're just in it before you guys were. The thesis is, don't just consume AI and think that that's a funny video on your Instagram feed. Monetize it. Actually realize that this is like seeing an Apple computer before people knew what that was, and you have the information that this is going to be a big thing. So the question, let's get to it. An average guy, gym bro, maybe, partied in the frat, doesn't have any idea what the hell a computer is. I mean, other than basic use, right? He doesn't know what AI is. How can he start monetizing it? What's the quickest way that, I'll give you my answer after you give me yours, but what would you do if you didn't have any experience? What kind of business would you start? What do you think is a good hustle?
Man, I don't know. I'd ask around. That's always been my strategy. If I knew nothing, you got to learn something. So find somewhere to learn it. Even if it's teaching yourself, and that's the cheaper route, probably take longer, but there's other ways, like, for example, Digital Syndicate. But you could literally just ask ChatGPT, teach me how to use you to the fullest advantage. Or I don't know. There's like Instagram pages now that have like, they're like banned prompts, and it's kind of cheesy, but they'll like post like a prompt to ask ChatGPT to, like, teach me this day by day as a daily schedule, or put together, like, give me a solid battle plan to create a business in 30 days using only AI tools. It's like, I don't know how effective that is, but the more you do it, I mean, it's a concept of continual effort. Like, you're bound to be successful eventually if you just don't stop.
There's you might not even know this because I just made this change in the community, but there's now it's like a marketplace or like a storefront where you guys can submit AI prompts that are very effective, like ChatGPT prompts, and you can put a price tag on them. It can be like $2 to use your prompt and then get access. You can say what it is, but then if somebody wants the full in-depth prompt, you can charge like $2 or $3, and you guys can make money just with a really good prompt you came up with, selling it to other people in our community. So that's something that exists. Like, literally, it could be that simple. It could be, how do I use? That's the basis of my whole agency, is helping you guys figure out how to use AI. That could literally be how to prompt it, or it could be how did we build a system that could run your sales team for you? Or you could take that and give it to another business and make a shit ton of money you doing the same thing. So there's levels to this, right? It could just be, I know how to prompt AI better than you because I'm smarter than you and I have more experience with it. You could just charge for that. You could charge for, well, I could take whatever that prompt gives me and I could make like a tool out of it, like a technology, a software. That's kind of what our agency does. And then you can go one step further and be like, well, I'll build you a custom AI. And that's kind of the maximum we get. Like we have a closer bot and a setter bot and things like that.
Right.
But if you're just trying to get into it, have fun. Like go on Gemini, go on ChatGPT, just figure out the extent of what you can ask it. And again, it's like the quote, right? Once you don't know how much you don't know until you at least try to learn, right? Like I definitely botched that, but like knowledge shows you how much you don't know. And if you didn't have any knowledge at all, you'd be completely ignorant because you would think you knew everything.
Right.
There's a lot of people like that, especially in the US right now.
Yeah.
And so it's still relying on intelligence, but get creative, right? Open back up that Minecraft mind you had as a kid and like explore trying different like challenges. You're just asking it to tell you how many breeds of squirrels are in North America. And that's the Google question. Ask it, why do you think I exist? Like philosophical questions and get really deep. And then you can start figuring out how vast this really is. And that'll kind of spur activity. Or just join again our community where people already figured out ways to use it. And we pay you to do that, like content clipping or creating UGC videos and editing your videos with AI. So many ways to do it, guys. Do you need to be... Let me ask a question that I think needs to be clarified for everyone that's like, oh, that doesn't apply to me. Do you need to be a coder or an AI whisperer to cash in on this? Or is it more about creativity or spotting problems to solve?
Oh, dude, I mean, that sounds dumb to me, but I could see why we're asking it because most people don't understand. But you need like zero skill, essentially, especially if you're just brand new and you're exploring and having fun. Eventually, it'll lead to, you can, if you're just creative enough to like solve problems with this thing that's giving you solutions. I mean, you don't need any skill for that at all. You don't need coding skill. You definitely don't need coding skill. It's already coded. Like it like speaks every language and it knows more about the world because it has access to all of the internet than you or I ever will. You know what I mean? So definitely just creativity would win that battle all day long.
Here's my hypothesis. Because humans make so many errors, why in 5 years, because AI, not even 5 years, maybe 10 months, like AI is going to have the capacity to write a full program. It probably does already in a lot of ways. You can probably just pay for softwares that could write a C# program. That's the equivalent of a full-time $130,000 a year Microsoft employee. So why are you paying a Microsoft employee? Well, you're still going to pay them because they understand the logic it uses. And so they have to explain what's going to go into that. And so you're not paying for their technical coding abilities. Those jobs are going to be replaced. And if you don't think that that's the case, then you're probably one of those ignorant people. I hate to put it that way, but that's just the truth. You have to be the person that understands, what am I trying to solve? And how can AI help me do this? And those are the people that will always retain value because at least for the time being, until we create AGI, it needs to be prompted. And that's where the next stage of value is. Understand how you can be a communicator. The translators are going to make the most money. Take a rich person that has money that can't figure out how to use AI and translate their problem by getting to know them into words that you can put into AI. And with the right prompts or the right technology, it will solve the problem for you. And they will pay for that value because you can AI whisper better than someone else. It's not a hard skill. It's just communication. And therefore, you have to be intelligent. And so work on your mind, work on creative thinking. And it's not like creative jobs are gone because of AI. Just because it can make a fucking picture doesn't mean it's going to replace artists forever. You still need to tell it what kind of picture you want because that's still valuable. And I don't think a lot of people understand that personally, but AI the biggest thing I see is AI being a force multiplier. It is if you have the ability to creatively think, just like one Microsoft engineer. Well, the only reason Microsoft exists, right, is because there's a team of smart engineers, but the reason they need a thousands of employees is because the workload is just so huge. If you're one smart person, you can use AI to do 1,000 problems just with one mind now, and you could take down theoretically a company like Microsoft if you had the right leverage and the right ability to work at a broad enough scale, and if your mind was sharp enough. But they're paying for the people that can think, and so don't get fooled into thinking they're hiring these engineers for how fast they can type on a keyboard. That's not the truth. Use AI for leverage, and you're going to be an operator, not just a spectator. When this gold rush really, it's still on the way up, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'd agree. Don't get confused too. Like the big companies like that are paying millions of dollars to ensure that they're keeping up with this as well. So it's not going to be something that, just the bottom's using to come up. Like everyone's using it, and if you're not, you're going to miss out.
Facebook is poaching employees from ChatGPT, and I had to triple check this. They were offering bonuses of $100 million for AI employees, like generational wealth signing bonuses to get these people on the team. Because basically, once you're in, then you're in. That's more money than you'll ever need. They just want to get people on the team because they understand that this is $100 million is a drop in the bucket of AI right now. It's like $1 trillion industry. And so if they can offer that to have the right thinker that can change your software to be better, then that's very easily worth it. Because again, it's how intelligent can humans get before AI can get more intelligent than humans. Eventually AI will create AGI, which will think for itself. Could be good or bad for society, hopefully good, but until then we got to think for it. And so the best thinkers are still winning. Don't think that you letting ChatGPT write your English essay for you is going to save you in the long term. It's just turning your brain off even more. It's not putting you on the right side of that. You need to be a better thinker and actually use it to research, right? Like the teachers say. But the more you use it to cheat on your homework and stuff, that's just gonna prevent you from thinking creatively.
Yeah, absolutely. The lady at my office today was trying to show me because she knows, like the whole office knows, I use ChatGPT as a tool to accomplish a good portion of my work that otherwise takes them days to do, whereas I'm accomplishing it in minutes. But she tried to show me this article that I don't remember who it was written by. I didn't really didn't really take it too serious at all. But trying to say how, which I actually think is true, but I'm going to play off of your point here, where it was saying that youth specifically, young users of ChatGPT are like losing parts of their brain that are stimulated by creativity. So essentially, to put it in layman's terms, like using it to do tasks you otherwise would have to think for is making you dumber. And I think that's exactly what you're saying. But the thing is, like, people don't understand that if you were to just take the creativity you otherwise would have used to write the essay by hand in a day, and just figure out a way to be creative enough to make that essay 10 times better by prompting AI correctly or in a better way, then you're still using that creativity portion of your brain, but you're producing a better outcome in less time. So I think that's just an interesting distinction I just thought of while you were talking about that. It doesn't have to make you dumber. If you were to put that creativity towards making your outcome better using AI, that would solve the problem.
Yeah. This might be, I don't think we should answer this question here, but I want you guys to think about this rhetorically. Who wins when your creativity in your brain is shut off? Like, what if that's the goal? Because that makes it easier, right? Why? Like I made this point the other day. If I was running a 5K against people, why would I train hard? Why wouldn't I just give everyone else free donuts? I look like the good guy, right? So don't you think maybe there's benefit to some people who have influence to keep people who don't numbed in the mind, and you're just giving into that every day? Maybe that's not the case, but if it is, they're doing a damn good job at it. And I don't want you guys to be stuck giving into convenience once again at the price of giving up the only autonomy you have and the ability to think for yourself. That's the only thing that we have left in a world where everything is just given to us. And I want you guys to be protective of that, because again, you don't know. There could be companies out there that are evil, right? Or just want all your money, want your data, want your privacy. And if you're giving all that up in a whim's notice because you get the newest season on Netflix, well, I don't want that to come back to haunt you. And not only that, but the patterns of convenience erode your discipline and your ability to build it back up. So that's the only point I'll make on that. But
It's a good thing to think about.
all right, digital leverage. This section is all about leverage, working smarter, not harder, by building systems. The core idea is that one man with optimized systems, like I just said, can outperform a whole team of improvised effort, especially in consulting or a service business, which is why the barrier to entry that is so low. You could take on McKinsey, a multi-billion dollar consulting corporation, and steal a lot of their business, just like I have, by challenging structures and being more creative with your prompts and just showing people that you can think with them a lot easier just by using AI. You don't have to be a genius and come up with market research reports out of nowhere. AI can do that for you. And so by 2025, this approach really isn't optional. It's just going to become the standard, especially by the end of this year, probably. In fact, 3/4, 75% ish of consulting firms are expected to have an integrated AI in their workflow by now. So it's just underlining how pivotal systems and AI are. This is the point I'm making. If you want freedom, which to me, that's probably the most important thing in my life, like the ability to have autonomy over my decisions, which is why I made that last point. The only way to get freedom is with leverage. Other people working or other things working, right, that create your ability to free up your time because they're answering questions, they're selling your stuff for you. Your deals are getting closed without your time. That's the biggest one people will give up because they just go for money first. Financial freedom is the other way, but you need leverage to create financial freedom because I can't just sell one thing door to door my entire life. You could make a lot of money doing that, but if I want to get rich quick, I need to do it at scale. That's why digital business is the best way to go. And so the mindset shift is to see yourself not just as a hustler, like a door-to-door salesman working on your business, but like an operator creating it to run on partially on autopilot. You don't need to fully automate a business, right? But it's not a self-checkout thing, right? You're still empowering people, but use it to speed up the parts that other people would spend way too long doing. And that's how you beat people with 50,000 followers. What would it look? Okay, let's talk about your business because you're a fitness coach. What would it look like to digitally clone yourself in your business or like a project? What specific tasks in fitness coaching could you delegate to software or AI, and which ones would remain completely yours?
I think the most pertinent would be marketing, specifically probably in helping me either plan out or develop content, probably both, because there's AI tools for both, to post so that you can gain a following and a basis for credibility as people can see like, oh, this guy's not just some dude that hides behind a computer. I don't even know what he looks like or what he's about.
Yeah.
Outreach, especially in the position I'm in, really new, less than 100 followers on my platform. You kind of have to build some sort of, like, you have to find a way to reach people that would be potentially interested in, using your service. Because sometimes, like I said, in the beginning stages of developing an online presence, you're not really reaching a lot of people. So outreach, I think the thing that would stay mine would probably still somewhat use AI for structuring. And this is what I actually do currently. But the actual development of the regimen and the understanding of a client's needs, that one for sure is, I got to do it myself because I wouldn't just entrust AI to, it'd have to like identically match my knowledge and personality. And I guess I could spend a ton of time training it, but I don't think it'd be worth the reward. Maybe if I was scaling to some stupid amount of clients one day, but that's got to be mine, is understanding the client's needs, but then also putting together the regimen. It's based solely off my knowledge and my experience and what works for helping young men achieve what their goal is. I mean, they differ, right? So that's why it's got to be up to me. But as far as structuring it goes, I could sit there and type it and format it all I want. But if information is there, AI for sure can just put that together for me in a way that looks professional.
Yeah, I would say, and again, we have CloserBot and SetterBot. CloserBot that's meant to close deals and send payment links. SetterBot that's just meant to get people on the calls. I actually see SetterBot having a greater, usually more general use, just because you still want to close your own deals. You want it to be, you want coaching to feel human, and so it's more important to, you can sell for more money if you're the one personally convincing them and you have the reputation, the testimonials, the brand built up to reinforce that. That's where you can make a lot of money. And so your time is usually, well, with coaches that I'll see, best spent on closing deals and developing the actual core idea of the program, like you said. The things you should leverage out, your day-to-day check-ins, like the messages that say, how are you feeling today? What did you hit? Things like that. And then you can maybe just look that over, but it's more about accountability. The accountability stuff can be automated. That's just there to help them. And also getting sales lined up, like getting people to book calls with you, getting people in a position where you can close them on the deal. Because you don't want to be wasting your time just DMing random people all day. Again, that's something we try to do a lot. I tried manually doing for a while. Takes up a lot of time unless you have other systems like a podcast like this or the ability to leverage content or something like that to grow, which also we teach in the syndicate. It's just not effective to spend your time just door-to-door selling on Instagram. Maybe for your first sale, or maybe that's how I got my first sale, but it's not going to be scalable. And again, if we're going for leverage, we need systems built up around that. So yeah, Anthony, stay the brain behind it, because then otherwise it's not yours really. It's just AI's. Yeah. But let AI like take over the virtual assistant. And I would say anything a virtual assistant you'd put in charge of, put an AI in charge of right now, which it sounds like that's kind of the way you described it.
Yeah.
So when do you do that is usually the next question. How soon do you look into that? Well, when you have the money and you want to save the time, but it's not worth having an AI talk to your leads if you're not getting any leads. So you need to figure out how to make a good brand that looks visually appealing, has a strong message. You figure out what you're about. You figure out what your ideal life looks like. Is that not the first phase of the Digital Syndicates course, like figuring out what your personal identity and things like that are, and then taking that and transmitting it into a brand? That's how we start our course content. So if you guys don't have that answer, start there. Build up an identity that people can see and believe in, and then when they start coming to you, use AI, and you'll scale really fast. And you can use AI to make the content too. Opus Clip, all those tools like that. So I don't know, what do you use to edit your videos?
I don't use Opus Clip just because I don't really make long form content. I make mostly short form with my phone, but I think CapCut is what I edit mostly on. I pay for the premium subscription there, so I can use all of their tools, but I haven't seen any like there's AI. They use AI to do like speech to text or text to speech. I've used those a couple times, but I'd be interested to see like what other tools come out as other companies start integrating this more and more.
No.
So yeah, I could see that being another place to use it.
Huh. Guys, it's every like I don't even like I'm definitely deeper into this than you guys are. Like I could probably list more I could list more AI tools than you guys could, if like toe to toe right here if we went after it. But
he's gonna go AI tool for AI tool.
We go band for band on AI tools, but it doesn't matter. Like we're competing, right? Like you should either work together. Let me help you. Let you help me. We share what we have, and then we're winning compared to everybody else because we have more knowledge of these things. Why? I just learned the other day, like I can make automations like for like a third of the cost I thought it was going to cost me, and I didn't even realize that. But I did a few Google searches to find a tool that was out there. And I'm like, wow, this is way better. And just exploring takes a lot of time. So the value of the syndicate, right? I would pay for that just to have access to people that are doing research, and you can get a tip like, hey, why don't you invest in this technology, this tool? Because the amount of time it's going to save you, that's what creates. You want to get rich quick at 19 and 20, you need to shortcut things. You can't just take the long way of slowly stacking cash. You're just going to get sad because it's not going to work, because it's just definitionally you're not taking enough risk to get there. And so you need to invest in something that's going to speed that up and be more guaranteed. And this is a space where it's happening. I can confidently say that now because there's there's people engaged, there's people talking about things like that, and it's a place where I would want to be. And it's only going to get bigger from here. So price is also going to go up, guys, too. So if you're looking at it again, make the decision. Let's wrap this up because I'm hungry a little bit.
I was just hearing rumblings in mine too. It's about that time.
I see. You got to get I think you need like something on the other wall, or maybe just move your diploma to the other wall because
Yeah, I need something, man. The
that
setup
corner is like this. I think your camera is like.
What if I just move like this?
If I just lean, I'll just tilt the whole screen.
Yeah, I'm gonna. It's on my list of things to do eventually, but
That's all right.
we'll get a nice office.
We're just men in our own space. We don't need much.
You guys would laugh if you saw my setup right now. It's actually horrendous, but it
It's
doesn't
on my grandmother's wooden chair, basically.
Yeah. Should I show him the chair real quick?
Yeah, go ahead. That's like when grandma rings the triangle and you come in from milking the cows. It's like when you sit on that. Hey, I respect it though. Classic. You don't need all this bougie stuff like I got here, but
yeah, it's literally from my kitchen table.
Yeah, you're on par with what I'm doing. I mean, he invested in the most important stuff, which is like a decent camera that has a good enough frame rate and a decent microphone. Like he's got a Rode mic, and you just make slow investments. Like over time, I got a really nice film camera. I replaced my webcam. I got these like light panels here. Like you just slowly add things, and it's like you want to do it overnight. It's not going to happen overnight. So
yeah, let that be your reminder, man. It's not like if you think it doesn't apply to you, like you should see what I'm trying to put together to make this happen, man. So you don't need to be the most well set up. You don't need to be an expert in any field. You don't need a certification, man. Just get out there and work.
And the only thing that can help make it faster, and the point I think was going to wrap up on is like there's a lot of chaos, right? There's a lot of people telling you do drop shipping, do crypto, do NFT, do all this, do this, do this, do this. You can get clarity and you can actually make the videos that you're seeing. You could be one of those videos if you have the right mindset and the right moves, but you can try to figure those out by yourself, but you're not going to be a millionaire at 19. It's going to take, maybe you'll be 30 when it happens, but you could be 19 if you're willing to invest and take a risk and put the money that you have into a space of people that'll help you speed it up. That's like, again, it's not even a sales pitch. It's just how it works. The only way to speed it up is with information, and you're probably going to have to pay for good information. You can ask ChatGPT, right? But ChatGPT isn't a human that understands your flaws and how that journey actually looks. So there's still value behind that. And also, like, you're not going to get motivated by ChatGPT, but when you're motivated by another piece of flesh and blood that's done it like you, then that is inspiring. Modern masculinity isn't about lamenting the state of the world. It's about ascending, no pun intended, above the noise by using every tool at your disposal. So your mind, your principles, technology, and the most important one, community. So here's the challenge. I want you to urge yourself to pick one area from this episode, anything we talked about. You can think of something, or just watch any of the TikToks that'll come out tonight summarizing this stuff, and just execute hard on it. Like maybe it's just adapting a daily habit that fortifies your identity. Could be launching a blog or a consulting offer. Like Anthony just picked fitness coaching because he's freaking yoked. I mean, I would too. I just picked consulting because I've owned a business. I'm like, well, maybe I could give somebody some sort of advice. And then I'm like, I could use ChatGPT to help me with this. And you just start somewhere, guys. Mow lawns. It doesn't matter. Try to make money and then figure out how you can make it easier and be in a space with people to help you. You are not a casualty of the cultural movement that's going on. Especially, I think it's heading downhill in a lot of ways. At least just swim against the tide and find a way to do that. You don't have to change the world, but just be an agent for yourself in your own movement. Believe that you have the capacity and the responsibility to shape your destiny, because you do. In a world telling young men they're either victims or they're villains, choose to be a creator, just like both of us have. Write your own code and then live it. Me personally, this is the masculine code I live by. Character, having good clarity, and leverage. So anything you want to add before we go eat?
No, man. Don't be as hard on yourself as the social medias and the Andrew Tates of the world say you should be. I think to a degree it's helpful, but to another degree it's just self-deprecation. Like if you just constantly are in a state of discontentment with where you are, like that's so you don't want to forget that that's the whole point, man, is to be happy, to be free. And if you can't find that in whatever situation you are while still driving for something more, you won't be happy once you've achieved it. So do what you can and do all you
That's a
can.
bar. That's a good bar.
Do
Write that down.
do what you can and do all you can, man. But don't forget, like the whole point is to be happy. So focus on that too.
The biggest thing that I think you're gonna have struggles with is thinking that the only toxic I think this one actually is a bit toxic, is that you don't need help, is that you have to be a man and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Others out here that are winning are doing the same thing as you, but they're just reaching out. It could be ChatGPT. Most likely, though, it's a community like the Syndicate, where they have their own mentors and they have people that have said, "Don't put your money there," because I did that 30 years ago and it didn't fucking work. So it's not going to work for you. It's a strength. It's not a weakness. And honestly, that's the best catalyst you can have. It's the people. So I want you guys to picture right in your head that foggy area of the world. Just picture a bunch of fog. And you just see a man that is maybe you with a little more facial hair stepping out from it, smiling, right? Understanding that you may be wearing the nice suit or whatever it is, and understanding that they've built something for themselves. They've picked up on a technology that's existing, and they're walking the path that you have defined. This is, no pun intended again, ascension. It's bringing yourself to a higher level. Now it's just up to you guys to make it real. I think that's a good note to end on, though. So
I agree.
with obviously, guys, you're watching on Rumble, YouTube, Instagram, not TikTok, but you'll see clips of this. But just go ahead, like, subscribe. We're gonna do this every day. Maybe not with Anthony. He's got to get huge. So once a week he'll be on, and we'll just maybe he'll just show up for some more guest appearances and stuff.
I think I might have to start pulling up more often.
Yeah, it's I just do this for an hour a day. It's just a little thing I do, but yeah. So obviously, this is helping us promote the Syndicate. I've mentioned it several times. I believe in the value. Anthony believes in the value, I hope, and
Absolutely.
everyone. We have a ton of reviews. I don't know what to say. Check it out at least, and let me know if you think for some reason it's not aligned with who you want to be. I do think it's the best spot. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing any of this. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments. But you want to stay around. You want to get pinged when we do more of this, right? If you did learn something, as opposed to the tung 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 saur video. So you don't want to have more of that. You don't want to have John Pork on your feed. So he's great. But go ahead and ping me so you stay around, like the podcast, whatever it's going to be. And I think we'll end it here. But have a great rest of your night, guys. And we'll see you